do roll for us this morning, please.
Mr. Alkers.
Here.
Dr. DeVaugh.
Here.
Ms. Lampkin.
Here.
Ms. Maddox.
Here.
Mr. Milner.
Here.
Dr. Stanbaugh.
Here.
Mr. Zade.
Here.
Thank you.
You have received the agenda about a week in advance. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve today's agenda. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. I'd like to welcome our visitors this morning, our staff, and our other special guests this morning. We're always happy to have someone here with us every time we meet. I'd like to ask Ms. Flanagan if she would do the Pledge of Allegiance this morning and Reverend offer the invocation.
Let us pray. Father, we give you thanks for all that you do, for all that you are. And we ask you, O Lord, that as we go through our agenda today, that you would keep our eyes fixed upon the learning and capabilities of our students, our teachers, and staff. Father, bless them as they're coming towards the end of the year. Give them strength, and we ask you to watch over and protect us. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe we have any speakers coming forward this morning. So we will go into our awards and recognition. Our very special awards from the SBO.
Yes, ma'am. As you all know, each year through our partnership with the Virginia School Boards Association, we have the honor of recognizing local businesses who have partnered with us to enhance the instruction of our students and the support of our staff as they work to support student growth and success. So this morning we are happy to share with you our three honorees for this year, and they are Eastman Chemical Company. This morning Sean Pace, the site manager at the Patriot Center, is here with us, and he will be in a photo with Ms. Maddox and Dr. Cotton in just a moment. But this year alone, Eastman has participated in providing teacher training for mathematics for our teachers. Last summer, they provided training in Tennessee for 2 of our teachers through a special program that they do in conjunction with East Tennessee. And this year, they are bringing that program to Henry County for a larger group of teachers. So we're very appreciative of that. But additionally, Eastman provides a safe driving program for all of our driver's education students each spring. Our students just participated in that this last month. They have done a book drive for a classroom at Camelcourt Elementary. They've donated to our teacher recognitions for Teacher of the Year. And they send engineers to E-Week at New College each year for our students. And they mentor and judge the Lego robotics competition here in town. So we're very grateful to have a partnership with Eastman Chemical Company. I'd like to ask Mr. Pace to come forward.
Bulletin.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Additionally, we are honoring Lowe's today. Through our Lowe's Heroes program that Lowe's does in lots of different cities, we were chosen by Mike Mays, the local Lowe's manager, and a group of Lowe's employees dedicated their days off to install raised bed gardens at 10 of our schools this year, which means out of our 14 schools, now we have 13 schools that have raised bed gardens total. So our students will be benefiting from learning about the growth of plants and eating those plants as they raise them, and learn more about fruits and vegetables from the benefits of those gardens. So I'd like to ask Mike Mays to come forward this morning as well. And finally, but certainly not least for us, is our local SPCA. In addition to reinstituting the Read to the Paw program, where elementary students can build confidence in their reading fluency by reading to animals that are brought in by volunteers, the SPCA has provided opportunities for several of our students this year to demonstrate their talents throughout the community. Many of our students were crucial in developing the designs and the graphics for the zombie run that was held back in the fall. And recently, we had several students who worked through their Spanish class to translate documents for the SPCA. So they are giving our students practical opportunities to demonstrate their skills and to learn what it's like to use those skills in a business setting. So we appreciate the SPCA. This morning we have Nicole Harris, Alice Ann Blevins, and Mary Compson here to represent them.
And what you do is, it's Larry.
Yeah, you're good.
The next section of our agenda is the informational section. And the first one would be Ms. Wells.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. On behalf of Amy Scott, who's the Student Services Specialist, I'm presenting the first reading of the Code of Conduct. Ms. Scott has reviewed recent state legislation and school division's Code of Conduct, and a committee was developed to review the legislation and our current code. And the committee composed of elementary, middle, and high school administrators, Ms. Scott, our crisis team coordinator, Ms. Shigley, myself, and Ms. Sandy Strader, our assistant superintendent. And we reviewed the changes, and we looked at producing a document that was concise and also consistent across the division, and the recommendations are in the attached document that you have reviewed, and this is just for the first reading. Certainly, if you have any questions, you can contact Ms. Scott or myself. I'll try to answer any of those changes that were made. All right. Thank you.
You need a motion to approve.
Thanks on
No,
the first reading.
first reading.
Mm-hmm.
This is first reading, no.
First reading. We also will be talking with Ms. Landon about revisions to some of our school board policies.
Good morning. Good morning. We had quite a few proposed revisions last month. We have some additional revisions this month, and we are proposing revisions to reflect efforts to bring policies and regulations into compliance with either existing laws or guidance. As normal, the revisions can be found on board docs under the featured tab, Policies Under Consideration. However, because we have them 2 months in a row, they're all under the same tab. So I just wanted to point out that the ones I'm going to discuss today are the only ones that are new this time. Policies B, DDH, and KB, public participation at school board meetings, have been revised to direct persons who wish to appear before the school board to contact the clerk of the board for placement on the meeting agenda. Also, to provide those who do not request placement on the agenda 7 days prior to the meeting, they will have the ability to sign up to speak on the day of the board meeting by signing a public comment form to be made available to them 15 minutes before the meeting begins. BDDH-R1 and KD-R1, Guidelines for Public Comment. These are the regulations that accompany the policies that we've just referenced. They include the same changes as indicated for the policies. Guidelines have also been revised to encourage individuals with complaints about a particular school to use the complaint resolution procedure that's outlined in Policy KL, Public Complaints, prior to requesting to make public comments directly to the school board. And Policy JGD, JGE, Student Suspension and Expulsion, have been revised to extend many of the responsibilities relating to long-term student suspensions, and these are suspensions of more than 10 days, and or expulsions, to extend to the division superintendent, superintendent's designee, or disciplinary review committee the same responsibilities in addition to the school board. It also provides that a disciplinary review hearing will be conducted using the same procedures as a school board hearing. These revisions are being provided to you at this time on an informational basis, and they will be presented to the school board for approval at the next meeting on June 2nd, 2016. Do you have any questions?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'll just add to that. Usually we bring all of the revisions to you all at one time. We need a little bit more time on these particular ones, so we wanted to have some more time to work on them. But as Mrs. Landon has noted, you know, we still have the same process where people can get on the agenda 7 days in advance, but we wanted to add an option where people could sign up the day of the meeting, as you heard us describe, so that people who missed the 7-day window can still have the opportunity to speak, which after talking with the board chair, we thought that was a good option to allow people to have that opportunity. The other one related to student discipline, it's really more focused on long-term suspensions and the appeal process. We use the discipline review committee. Not all school divisions do that. They tend to have one person that will hear the appeal. We wanted to make sure we kept that in there as an option because we like to have more than one person sometimes hear a case to make sure that we get more perspective. So you'll notice that it's written or in there as different options, and that's just to provide some flexibility, but that's for the long-term suspension, not the short-term. Short-term suspension, less than 10 days, the principal makes a decision on that appeal, and then the superintendent's designee can make a final decision on that appeal. Some school boards hear every appeal, and we like to have this process in place so that the appeal happens at a lower level, but certainly some of these appeals do come to you, as you know, for those long-term suspensions.
Noticed recently an opinion, I guess, from the Attorney General's office regarding what could and could not be confined to closed school board sessions, and I wondered if the Junior School Boards Association has issued any kind of guidelines regarding that.
We have not received that from the VSBA, but we did consider that. We were already working on revising the public comment policies and regulations, but we made sure, as you heard Mrs. Landon say, that we encourage them to go through the proper channels. It's not required. So certainly if somebody wants to come to a board meeting and talk about a number of things, they can do that, but it's certainly encouraged that they go through the proper channels prior to that, because we offer those opportunities. especially if it's related to a staff member. We like to address those, as quickly as possible rather than waiting to a board meeting. But as you know, sometimes people do want to come to a board meeting and share this concern.
That was the biggest thing that stood out to me about that Attorney General's recommendation was that we requested that comment not include names and specifics, and the Attorney General saying that that can't be prohibited. Is that correct?
That is what, that's what he said.
So, I mean, if we're not comfortable with that, one consideration is we don't have to allow public comment in our meetings.
Yeah, that is certainly another option, and the reason that we've discouraged them from naming people is not that we're wanting to avoid criticism, because we are criticized, obviously, on a daily basis, but the problem you have is when people aren't here to speak to what's being said, especially when we're recording these meetings, that's a concern.
I mean, I definitely do not agree with all the aspects of the Attorney General's opinion. I mean, and it's non-binding, but the big consideration and concern I have is, I mean, people can come up and mention students' names and say this student touched my child or hurt my child or did something, and it's in a public meeting without being broadcast.
Right.
Yeah, and the problem is, we've always said, well, you can't mention students' names, but I think one of the practical considerations the Attorney General has, obviously we mention students' names positively all the time at this meeting. So won an award. So our rule, I think, is in practice probably not content neutral, because we allow people to come up and praise faculty and students, but our policy was don't say anything negative about someone. And so it kind of does present I can see in practice where we have a meeting where we never mention a student's name or a teacher's name, we're just talking vague generalities, so I guess it's kind of, but as you point out, the code specifically says we have to allow public comment. There's public hearing requirements in those in the code, and we have chosen to have a public comment period, but as you point out, we don't have to.
Didn't it also have something in there about a person's ability to address the board in closed session?
It did.
Okay. Are we going to look at that also when we are looking at?
We can. We will.
Mr. Scott will give us an update on Meadowview Elementary School.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the school board. Just wanted to kind of give you another update this month on how Meadowview Elementary is coming along. If you've driven by there lately, you'll notice the visibility is a lot better. We got the trees cut down along the 108 road frontage. Just the grubbing is left. A lot of little scrub trees are left. So we're pretty excited about that. Hopefully in the next month you'll see some power lines being relocated. They're going to follow along parallel with 108 as well. So we'll start those relocations. Also, as you know, Tim Pace with Henry County has been actively involved in this project all along, and he's been sending some of his team members out to monitor the settlement. Remember, the pre-grading project purpose of that was when we moved the dirt over to that hole was to watch it and give it plenty of time to settle. And so they've been monitoring those settlement rods. We've seen very little movement on this, which is really great, and that's exactly what we wanted, to give time for that to settle before we start building a building on there. So everything's looking well with that. We did make several attempts this past month to negotiate a project with the apparent lowest bidder from the first bid, but didn't have much success with that. So we think it's in the best interest of Henry County Schools that we make a few changes to the scope and send this out for rebid. And so our attempt is going to be, we're going to send it back out for rebid May 23rd and ask for bids to be turned back in on June the 22nd. So just want to give you those quick updates, see if you had any questions of where we stand at this point with Meadowview.
What do you mean on the scope? You're not talking about making the building smaller or anything like that?
No, sir. Great question. It's not, we're not affecting anything with the square footage of the building, but we will have some scope things such as we'll bid maybe the sewer line separately, or make a few tweaks on the mechanical system to help bring that price down some. Maybe change a little bit of the aesthetics on the outside and the back of the building. So minor changes that'll add up a little bit, hopefully save us some money when we get to the rebid time.
So you think that they could get within budget when they redraw some things?
Of the original budget?
Yes.
No, sir. I think based on the market to where we are now, I'm not sure that we can get to that point, but that's our hopes. So, we're going to get as close as we can at this point.
What long-term effect on the completion and opening of the building do you think it will have?
At this point, I think we're probably looking at a mid-year opening, 2017-18.
I don't know if you all have been following that there are several other localities that their projects have come in well over anticipated. I was reading one recently that Chesterfield area, they had a project that came in $6 million higher than they anticipated. So other places are having the same issue, and we tried to work with the lowest bidder to resolve some issues, and that didn't work out. So obviously we're going to have to go this route. It's not ideal. We don't like pushing back the opening, but essentially we have about a $4 million problem. We're at least $4 million over what we anticipated. So we believe we owe it to everyone to go back through this process. And we also believe that there are some folks that may want to bid on it the second time, which could have an impact as well. We are planning to include the full-size gym in this round. Remember, that was an alternate that we had. But what I've heard from the board, as well as the board of supervisors and others, that there's a lot of support for the full-size gym if we're going to build this school to move in that direction. So we're planning to include that.
The next section of our agenda deals with the consent agenda. There are several items there. You may pull out any one you wish to discuss, or we can approve them as presented.
Move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please raise your right hand. The action agenda, the first item today is the approval of updates to certain school board policies on second reading.
Good morning again. As I referenced earlier, we presented a number of revisions and to policies and regulations at the April school board meeting. We provided at that time a summary of the major changes, and those changes have been posted on board docs throughout the month of April. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to go out and review them in more detail and are comfortable with what those changes are. At this time, it is recommended that the policy revisions that were presented in April be approved as presented on second reading.
Are there questions for Ms. Landon or a motion?
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the revised policies on second reading. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Approval of membership.
Excuse me. Sometime in the past, we talked about going to a 10-point grading scale. Did we just drop that, or are we still looking at that, or?
We are moving toward that. The board approved it, and that's the plan for next year.
Okay, thanks.
So what I would like to do for you is provide you with an update on our rollout plans, but we are implementing next year.
Mr. is going to talk about the
Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the board. The New Tech Network provides a framework and support for the project-based learning that you have seen happen at Warrior Tech at Magna Vista, and that we will implement next year at Bassett High School and the Bingle Tech School Academy. The New Tech Academies focus on developing a culture which promotes trust, respect, and responsibility of our students. And the students work on projects with teams, and the students are accountable to their peers, and they require responsibilities that are similar to that they will see in the workplace. When we become members of the New Tech Network, we are providing professional development through the network, as well as a coach who comes in to support teaching our teachers how to best implement project-based learning. And we also provide access to the ecosystem, which you all have seen before, where the parents and the students can see their progress with the 4 C's, as well as agency, and that's the part with working together and their own responsibility. It is recommended that the school board approve membership to the New Tech Network for the final year of the Warrior Tech Academy. That cost would be approximately $101,000. It would be paid from the FY17 harvest budget. And to approve for up to 1 to 3 years of support for Bingle Tech. The total cost for all 3 years would be $327,600 for 3-year coverage of total support, pending available funds from FY16 budget. But we also want to ask, if we do not have those available funds, that you would approve this to come from the FY17 budget purchase services. So once again, I'm asking you to recommend the final year of the Warrior Tech Academy and up to 3 years of support for the Bingle Tech Academy. Do you have any questions?
So you say final year for Warrior Tech, that means that one class has gone all the way through the ninth grade.
Yes, sir.
Senior year. So after this year,
It'll be minimal support for the ecosystem, and we're not sure on that pricing, because I think it would change depending on if we are able to expand it to use the ecosystem in other places per child. And also, I guess you realize that with Warrior Tech it was a 4-year support, but remember with Bingle Tech we're implementing 2 grades to start with. So we'll start with the 9th and 10th grade year at Bingle Tech, so it will take just 3 years to see our first class finish at Bingle Tech.
None, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Can I just ask another question on that?
Okay.
I understand why it's going to be 3 years for the class to move through, but that's 3 years of support versus 4 years of support. I'm not sure why we're basing it on when a class is going to graduate versus the number of years of support for the program.
It's actually based on how actually the kids graduate. It is on the training. So what happens is each summer and during the year, how many of our teachers are in the program, they are allowed, so when Magna Vista started and they had 5 teachers, those 5 teachers their training was free. Now we had to provide the transportation and the hotel rooms, but those 5 teachers are the only ones that were trained. This year, Bassett will be sending 11 teachers to training. So it's the same price, it's just spread out differently.
Okay, so we're going to get the same
Same.
amount of training,
Yes.
just crammed into 3 years instead of...
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And I understand why we felt strongly about that, because technically Warrior Tech could have provided support to Bassett at a lower cost, but we felt like Bassett needs the same level of support that Magna Vista received, and it really comes down to looking at when we'll reach full implementation, because that's when you have all the teachers on board and identified, and that's when they'll be trained. We did a much slower implementation one extra year.
Thank you.
will we reach the time when maybe some of our tech teachers will be involved in training?
They will support Bassett, but I wanted to make sure that Bassett got the same support from the national network, but certainly they're going to be supporting each other as we move forward. And if we talk about middle schools down the road, they're going to provide support there as well. But we are, and what's exciting is Magna Vista is getting ready to become a demonstration site. I laugh about that because they're already
there are no further questions from Ms. Strader, everyone in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Thank you, Ms. Strader. You'll carry on.
From time to time, Henry County uses instructional coaches or consultants to visit our schools and provide best practices and provide feedback to the teachers, the principals, and also to the instructional staff. In the past, we've used these instructional coaches or consultants as pull-out. We've acquired subs and we've had our teachers go to training. Our new model is that we want to use these professionals to come into our schools and push in, and they would work with teachers during their planning period, or they would work with them while they're actually teaching the students so they can see the first-hand experience of what is actually happening in the classroom and provide instant feedback and suggestions on strategies while they're in the classroom with the teacher and the student. It is recommended that the board approve the instructional consultants or coaches for the 2016-17 school year, and this division be authorized to exercise subsequent renewals in accordance with the term of contract. This is an RFP that we do have standing. The estimated cost will be $160,000, and this would all be paid from the 2017 harvest budget. Any questions, Mr. Milner?
Have this already been approved by Harvest, or is this something we expect from Harvest?
The way the harvest grants works is we're on a 3-year cycle. So this is year 1 of our grant, and we have written the same components in year 1. So we have been informed that those same components, with our data provided at the end of the year, we will be approved for these same things for at least the next 2 years.
Thank you. I'll motion that we approve the instructional coaches for 2016-2017.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the instructional coaches. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Can I ask one more real quick question? We have instructional coaches in the elementary schools now. Do these people work with these people also?
They actually do, yes, sir, Dr. Ball. And I don't, that was a terminology change. The RFP was actually worded a few years ago to say instructional coaches, and they're really instructional consultants. However, with the RFP being worded that way, we still have to use that same terminology. But yes, sir, our coaches are the people that we use in our elementary school that we pay out of Title I, and they most definitely do work with our elementary teachers and our coaches, our reading specialists, and my staff to make sure that we're implementing best practices. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Strader? Not, we'll vote on the motion to approve. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Mrs. Wells.
Good morning again. Every year I come before the board to present our special education annual plan, which outlines how we will be spending our federal funding to support our special ed teachers and programs for the upcoming school year. Similar to years in the past, we are directed by the Department of Education to use the same grant award that you received for the current year as an estimated amount for the upcoming school year until the final award is issued in July. And then we'll adjust. But you have the attached budget outlines to reference how the money is broken down. But you'll notice that there's the $1,970,633 that we're using as our preliminary amount. $13,842.01 is the estimated set-aside funds that will be used. This is a formula that we use to determine how much money we will be setting aside to spend for speech services that we provide to parental placed private school students. So this would be our students at Carlisle that meet eligibility criteria for speech. So we are required to set aside money to pay for that. Our grant is 100% reimbursable. We do pay a majority of the funds for highly qualified teachers and highly qualified professionals. We want to make sure that we're supporting the Envision 2018 goals and the division's mission. We also pay from this money some staff for doing extended school year services in the summer. This isn't all the teachers and paraprofessionals we have in special education, but it's about half, so the other half are paid from local Some of the services that come out of the money, we pay for medical examinations for certain students who require that. Again, our summer program, and this year we're going to incorporate some field experiences during our summer program. Every year we try to do something different, and if this works, we hope to incorporate that in years to come as something different. We want the summer program to look different and have different experiences for the students than they get during the regular school year. Vivo music program, Tracy Prilliman, we have a partnership with her. She did a presentation before, you've met Tracy. She runs El Capo, and the Vivo is the special education portion of her music program. We piloted it with one program at Lowell Park, and this year we actually added 4 other school programs, and in the future we would like her to continue to do that for our different special ed groups of students, so she'll kind of rotate those. So she'll be like 4 different classes each semester, and that has been a wonderful program. And on May 17th, if you're available, please come to Magna Vista in the morning or at Carver in the afternoon to see the program, and I'll make sure you get the details of that. But Mr. Miller came, some of you came before. It's wonderful to see. The computerized IEP system that we use, Easy IEP, we pay for from the funds. We are going to a statewide IEP system. I don't know when that's going to be put out. We did volunteer to be a pilot site, but I don't think they've even selected that yet. So eventually we'll have a state IEP system and we won't have that cost, I hope. I'm sorry. Independent living skills is something else that we're going to add to our program next year. We want our students to really have some real life relevant experiences, so we're going to do some things. We've partnered with some of the community agencies to have our students actually go out and do some things that mirror what they'll be expected to do when they leave the school system. Orientation mobility services, again, those are for blind and visually impaired students so that they can get around in the community and live independently once they leave school, and some professional development activities for our teachers and staff. Also, child find activities to make sure that parents and the community is aware of our programs and how they can access those by screenings, and we also put the ad in paper. Parental involvement. Our chairperson of our special ed advisory committee is very active and will attend things at the state level, bring back ideas so that we can get more parents involved in their child's education. Speech services again, teaching materials, supplies, assistive technology devices, iPads, computers, and FM systems are other things that we spend the money for. Again, our goal is to support college and career readiness for our students as well. Anytime our students are either nonverbal or they have communication issues, we want to make sure that we are giving them a way to express themselves and to advocate for themselves, so any kind of augmentative communication device. Read 180, System 44 for our students because we know reading is key. Post-secondary education rehabilitation transition tours. This is PERT tours to Woodrow Wilson. Ms. Bliss takes a group every semester to tour the facility. They will also do interest inventories and do career inventories to see what matches with the student's ability. Community-based curriculum, transition planning with our students, self-determination. You may remember that Ms. Ruth did a presentation on self-determination that she did with the middle schools, and this is something we want to continue so that students do have those ability to advocate for themselves and understand what their disability is. And then we participate in Southern Virginia Youth Expo also to kind of give our kids some ideas of just career path they may want to be interested in as they plan their school. Additionally to our annual award is our preschool funds. This is our Project 619. This amount has remained the same for the past couple of years. I would like to see it maybe increase. Our child count, I didn't mention on the previous slide, but it did increase from 1,025 to 1,037. And our funds are based on a formula that incorporates child count, local composite index, as well as all school-age children in the county. So that would include Martinsville City. and there's some kind of formula that comes up with that number, and I don't know what it is, and I probably wouldn't understand it anyway, but it's very difficult to predict what our award's gonna be. But the preschool money has stayed the same for the past couple of years. It is, again, 100% reimbursable.
Let me
Yes,
interrupt
sir.
you just a minute.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned an increase, and I saw it on the
Yes.
slide. Is that due to the overall increase in students or overall increase in our screening ability? What caused the increase?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of those things. We do try to get, we have increased the number of screenings that we do because we screen throughout the summer for preschool age students. And then, because that number does include preschool age. And then we also have a higher number of students in the school division. So our eligibility criteria hasn't changed, but we did evaluate a lot more students.
We get better at what we do. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I like to
Okay.
But we, typically we'll evaluate about 100 students every year. But then they kind of come and go. It balances out. We have some that graduate, some that exit the system. This year we've done over 150 initial eligibility meetings, which has been pretty significant. So that number will probably increase next year as well.
Thank you.
Similar in our preschool money, summer program, preschool conferences, educational supplies, student enrichment experiences. We want our students, preschool programs are required to incorporate like field trip kinds of experiences, child find activities, equipment. You'll notice we pay one preschool teacher. That's the early childhood special education is what ECSE stands for. We pay one teacher. We actually have 6 programs. And are there any other questions that I can answer for you today? In addition, you'll notice the next item is the Special Education Advisory Committee. You asked a question last year about their information was redacted, and we did discuss that, and the committee felt that it was probably in best interest of the community to include their information, so others can contact them. So that is also something I present today for approval.
Any other questions from Ms. Wells? I think we probably need 2 motions.
Yes, ma'am.
First, to approve the plan as presented. So moved.
Second.
Seconded to approve the special education plan as presented today. All in favor, please raise your right hand. And the second motion will deal with the committee.
The motion that we do approve the Special Education Parent Advisory Committee.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the Special Education Advisory Committee. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I am presenting for Dawn today. She's having some voice problems. The School Nutrition Department received notification of award for the fiscal year 2015 Equipment Assistant Grants. We received the following amounts. Bassett High School, partial funding, $77,990.75 for 2 serving lines. Fairfield Council Middle School, $25,150 for a dishwasher. Laurel Park Middle School, $30,720 for a walk-in freezer. The total amount received from the grant was $133,860.75, which we rounded for munis to $133,861. It is recommended that the school board approve an additional appropriation of $133,861 and forward the request to the Board of Supervisors.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Been moved and seconded to approve the additional appropriation for the school nutrition program and to advance that to the Board of Supervisors. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you.
Thank you. We are also, the next item, this is something that's being moved on quickly because we didn't find out school nutrition program solicited bids for the equipment to be purchased with the fiscal year 2015 equipment assistant grants, and we reserve the right to award the project separately or as one bid award to the benefit of the department. We received submissions from 3 vendors. Installation costs are outside of this bid. It is recommended that the contract for the Bassett High Serving Lines project be awarded to Hooten Equipment of Roanoke, Virginia for the amount of $58,903. The contract for the Field Del Connsville Dish Machine project be awarded to Douglas Equipment Company of Bluefield, West Virginia for the amount of $17,959. And the contract for the Laurel Park Walk-In Freezer project be awarded to Solo Company of Martinsville, Virginia for the amount of $26,441.
Also, motion to approve that, and I like the way it's done. I think that maybe we should look at that in some more of our bids.
Gave everybody a chance.
Second.
We moved and seconded to approve the purchase of the equipment that we received because of the grant we received. All in favor of that, please raise your right hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. We are updating our computers in our elementary labs, so we are requesting that we approve the purchase of 225 desktop computers, which will be 25 for each lab, from Dell Computer Company, and this is pending on availability of funds for year end.
Move the approval of this request to purchase additional computers.
Second.
It's like the comment pending the availability.
You're going to get a lot of those today.
Do we have a second?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the purchase of the desktop computers if end-of-year funds are available for the elementary schools. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
Madam Chair, members of the board, before we go to the next item, as Janet said, you're going to see pending availability of year-end funds. We brought several to you at the April meeting, and we have several at this meeting as well, where what we do is we create a year-end list of one-time purchases, and we prioritize those. And we try to get as many of those done as we can pending year-end funds. So the language is so important there because we hope to do all of these things, but pending availability of funds, we may not be able to do all of these, but we do have them prioritized in order so that we can move quickly. And we're trying to back this up because we've done this kind of thing as late as June, and that's too late. So that's why you're seeing these in April and May meeting, and you'll have several. But one thing that will be clear, these are one-time type things that we're trying to take care of, not recurring costs. We're trying to use one-time savings at the end of the year to take care of these ahead of time. I think you have the next one, right?
Yes. Mrs. Strayer talked about Bingle Tech, so we're asking to purchase up to 100 laptops for the 10th graders. In our budget this year for our sustainability plan, we have added 2 grade levels of leased computers for Warrior Tech and Bingle Tech. So each year we'll add another grade level until we have all of those on the lease program, which really works with our sustainability plan. We're also requesting that we order the cases that we have for the laptops for both Warrior Tech and Magna Vista, and also the bags. So I'm requesting approval to order all of this pending on availability of year-end funding. Or we will have to purchase these out of FY 2017 budget.
Dr. Cotton, I know the registration for Bingle Tech students for next year is hope going on now. Does it appear that they will be able to fill both the 9th and 10th grade classes?
The last number that I received was, I want to say 90 students for the freshman class, and they were between 75 and 80 for the sophomore class. We've had some enroll and then back out, but a lot of that has been based on misinformation. So the principal over there, Mr. Gibbs, as well as the Bingo Tech director, Fran Tatum, have been reaching out to individual students and families, and they even took all of the 9th grade students on a tour of Warrior Tech to let them see firsthand what it looks like and to talk to students. And right after that trip, several applications came in. So the students have to sell the program. The adults can't sell the program. It really has to be the students. And what may end up happening is we may not be at full capacity starting out, but my gut tells me we will be after we get started, because the same thing happened at Warrior Tech. At Warrior Tech, we were getting just at 100 or slightly below, and now, for the first time, there's a waiting list for the incoming freshmen. So, and that's from kids building, talk about the program. But our hope is to have 200 next year. That's our plan.
Do we have a motion for approval of this? If not, offer the motion to approve the request for the
It's been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of the technology. Other items needed for the new tech program at Bassett. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Ms. Governor?
As you know, we have had interactive whiteboard grants for a number of years. So some of those need replacing, plus we have new grants from teachers. So we're recommending that the school board approve the purchase of 44 flat panels and 10 active panels, depending on year-end funding or FY 2017 budget. And these will replace some of our older boards and also will be for the new grants.
You want to tell them about
Yes, and what we're trying to do is encourage all elementary and middle school teachers to do a grant. So we're almost close for every teacher in those in elementary and middle to have a grant and have a board. So we're encouraging them to go on this year and make sure that they write them so that's available. So with this purchase and with the grants, we will have that. Every elementary teacher and every middle school teacher will have a board, and then next year we'll start working on high school. So rather than the boards now, the active panels, have you guys seen one of those when you've been in the schools? They're a big panel, but it doesn't have a projector, so it lasts much, much longer than the board. Plus you don't get the shadow. The teachers love them, the students love them. So they cost a little bit more up front, but in the long run, it's much better for the cost we pay for them. So we're for your approval for the 44 flat panels from Camcor and the 10 from Power Up Ed.
I just want to emphasize our plan, because you may hear about it, but we have required teachers to write a grant to get a smart board, and that was a great process to get teachers started with using smart boards. But now we have just a small number at elementary, middle, number of teachers who still have not written grants to get the smart board. We're at the point now where that should be the expectation, that they should have a smart board that they use in their classroom. At this point in time, high school numbers are much lower, so obviously we need to continue to work on increasing the use in high school, but elementary and middle, we're at the point now where it's becoming problematic, because when a teacher moves to another room, they want their smart board to come with them, and we don't need to be in the business of moving smart boards all over the school. We really need to get to the point where that's That's the expectation. So the reason we are, Janet said it very nicely, encouraging teachers to write a grant. I feel they need to write a grant to get the smart board because they have not done that during the last several years. And we're at a point now where we need to have that expectation. It's not fair for a student to be in one class with a smart board and another class without. So we're at that point. We'll still work on the high school. We're looking at other options at high school too. I know some of the high school teachers are using Apple TVs and other things, but especially in elementary, middle, the students interact with that smart board on a daily basis. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. And then the other thing that I'll point out is our facilities department has spent an incredible amount of time installing smart boards, moving smart boards. I wasn't fully aware of how much time they were spending until I spent time talking to some of them, but this is going to significantly reduce their amount of time being involved in that. And the new ones we buy are including installation.
Yes, that includes installation.
Move for approval of this request for the platform.
Been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of interactive platforms for elementary and middle school. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
Dr. Cotton, I remember you saying at the Virginia School Board meeting when somebody asked about technology, one of the people in the audience asked about scores, test scores with our iPad initiative, and your response, which I thought was excellent, was that curriculum is what guides test scores, not the technology. And I guess I'm just wondering, do we have any measurable, or any way to measure if these smart boards that classes and teachers that are using them, is the performance better? Is there anything tied to it? I mean, it's great to have all this technology. I would say we want more of it in the high schools, but do we have any way of measuring that it's making a difference other than the students like it?
I can tell you one scenario. I was in a school the other day, and the students did their review for their SOLs on Keynote. So one student was showing me, he said, before that I had paper after paper after paper, but I can do all of my review on Keynote and throw it right up on the teacher smart boards, and we all can see if we're all on the same page and if we have the same concept and if we understand the concepts. So to me, something like that means they are really utilizing them.
And it's a difficult question to answer. I've been working with technology for a long time, and I've read a lot of research reports where they really can't pinpoint that achievement is tied to the technology. A lot of times they focus on student motivation, student engagement, because you can have poor teaching with and or without technology. Even the students have told me, we'd rather have really good teaching than all the technology devices. So really we look at it as a support, and the reason that I make statements like that is because people who come and visit, they're always looking for a silver bullet to raise student achievement, and they think if they buy iPads that's going to make a difference, and it doesn't, because you've got to have strong curriculum, strong instructional practices. And the big thing for me with the smart board is the students can project their work to an audience. They can practice presentation skills. This year we had them do their STEM projects all on the iPad and the laptops, trying to give them experiences that are more related to what they're going to experience in the world of work. So for us, it's been more of a way to make it relevant and to use it as a tool. And we feel that if you don't have a smart board, you really can't, or some projection in your classroom, the students don't have the opportunity to present their work to a larger audience. So, and then in the lower grades, the interaction is an important part of that as well. But we've seen technology being used on a very low level. That's why we spend a lot of time investing in professional development with the SAMR model, because sometimes teachers are at the substitution level, where they just use it as a overhead projector rather than using it at the redefinition level. lot of professional development, but the short answer is, we'd be hard pressed to tie it directly to technology. There's so many other factors that have to be in play.
I want to hear you saying it, because maybe that's not even the right question to ask. Maybe it's not about achievement, it's about, being modern, up to date, and real world. Not so much test scores.
Yeah, and sometimes you get caught up in, we have all this technology, but I've told my staff the easiest thing we do is purchase the technology. It's what happens after that. It's the hard part, the professional development and how it's used.
Have we found that young teachers, coming out of college, teacher prep programs have been exposed to how to use technology in the classroom? Or we haven't provided all that training after they get it?
Not necessarily. I wish that were so. Some colleges provide more training, for instance, in our interactive boards, but usually we try to take that on. The ITRTs do an excellent job when we have new teachers. They work with them the first several weeks of school, showing them what we have and how to use it appropriately and how the kids can use it too. The interaction with the students is very important. So our ITRTs really work in that.
I've got a great email from a parent of a student who's studying to be a teacher, which I think is going to hire today. A former student who knew how to use the smartboard. Nobody in the class, including the professor, knew how to use it. And she stood up and taught everybody how to use it, and was blown away that it hit her that she had resources that others didn't from across the state. And so I thought that was such a powerful email we received from that parent.
The Children's Internet Protection Act is a federal law enacted by Congress to limit pornography and explicit content over the Internet. And all school divisions in the Commonwealth must maintain a current Internet filter in order to obtain federal or state funding. A bid was issued for the Internet filter with one vendor responding. It is recommended that the bid be awarded to Borderland for the purchase of iBoss content filter.
So moved, that sounds pretty important.
Second.
Okay, one question. On the one bid submitted, it's kind of like sole source. Were there other, they just didn't submit bids over there?
We just received one company, Borderland, sending the bid. I guess we want a requirement to be a 4-year licensing, and most companies couldn't provide the 4-year. They provide 3-year.
I think this one, we paid for 3 and they give us a 4.
We were able to negotiate a 4th year free. So.
Okay. So in other words, the bid was within reason. I mean, it was.
This is not one of the priority items. I mean,
This is one of our year-end priority items, but you can imagine it's on the top of the list, because when Tayway tells us we need an internet filter, we tend to listen.
Our current filter expires in August, so I want to have a little bit of extra time to transition to this new filter.
Make a motion to award a bid to purchase internet filters to what was it called? Borderland Incorporated.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to purchase the filters. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
The lease with Dell Computer for middle and high school laptops expired in September 2015. However, due to a delay in the deployment of new laptops and time constraints, the lease had to be extended for an additional 4 months. It is recommended that the school board approve payment for the lease extension and payment to their computer company.
I want to make sure that you all understand what happened in this situation. These are teacher laptops, correct?
Teacher laptops.
What we did was we allowed the teachers to take their laptops home over the summer, and we collected them in September. The unfortunate thing that happened as a result of that is by giving them access to the laptops, it caused us to go over our lease agreement, which is a problem. So obviously we've talked about how we're going to solve this problem. Do you want to talk about our plans moving forward?
To add, the problem that was added with there was a delay on the new computers being delivered to us, so we couldn't get them ready and swap with the old computers. We're for next time with the end of this lease, we're going to try to collect the teacher's laptop before summer, so we have summer to work, repair and prepare these laptops to send it back.
But then the teachers are going to be allowed to come in and pick them up during the summer.
Yes.
Because our concern is we want our teachers to have access to their technology in the summer. And this only happens every 3 years or so.
4 years. Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve the extension of the lease for the laptop computers.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to extend the lease for the laptop computers. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Thank you.
Good morning again. As you know, one of our big focuses is creating a new learning environment for our students in our schools. And so part of our Safe and Orderly Learning Environment Committee, one of our tasks is we looked at both middles, both highs, and what can we do differently with our common areas for those 4 schools. So we worked with a group called Barrows Incorporated out of Roanoke. They created some drawings, look at what type of furniture that would fit into those areas. And they also have an RFP that we can piggyback off of. So we were looking at some furniture that would work in these common areas, the steel case furniture. So we're thinking that we'd like to purchase some furniture not to exceed $40,000 with this year-end funding from FY16 operations budget. And it's recommended that we award this contract to Barrows Incorporated out of Roanoke, Virginia to purchase this collaboration type furniture for both middles and both high schools, not to exceed $40,000 to put this furniture in those spaces.
What is the steel case?
This is the brand name. Yeah, it's a brand name of the furniture that we looked at.
It's the company we used at Warrior Tech, if you remember all the furniture and the learning spaces there.
When you're talking about collaborative spaces, what?
That's a good question. Trying to set an example. If you, let's say, out here in this common areas, out in this hallway area, there's some benches out here in the area where if people need to sit and talk about something that's taking place, like in a college setting or Starbucks type setting, if you will, when you sit and have the cafe type tables. And we're trying to create a new collaboration space for these students so that they can sit and if they need to talk about a project or what have you. If you walk down the hallways of both of our highs and middles, it's pretty plain. When you walk in and down the sideways, there's really nowhere for them to sit and collaborate about a project. And that's the whole idea.
A lot of the students are sitting on the floor.
That's right.
When I go to Bassett in the morning, they're all in the foyer, sitting there on the floor. So we're trying to create some collaborative spaces where teachers can utilize those spaces and students can utilize those spaces to do work. But just like Mr. Scott said, it's like a college feel. If you were to go to a college, that's kind of the feel you have, that there's spaces where you can work and study and talk with your group members.
Was that something like at school? We attended a conference in Charlottesville.
Yes.
And they had all this pretty much going that way.
Yes, and I think you're talking about the one in Chesterfield.
Chesterfield, right.
The Career and Technical Center at Hull that you and I attended, and they had, I took lots of pictures that day, but you're right, and the hallway, and then the collaborative spaces, and it really, it's an inviting environment for creativity and collaboration, and if we believe in those things, we need to create the environments that will encourage that.
They have a lot of that type furniture at New College, in the common areas and in some of the rooms they call collaboratory. But that's what all of them do.
And as a matter of fact, the same company furnishes New College.
It's steel case, it's real durable.
Are there other questions for Mr. Scott? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And moved and seconded to approve the purchase of the $40,000 worth of equipment. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Mr. Scott?
Okay. I'll continue talking about Bingle Tech a little bit. So,
Okay.
right now, I want to share with you the bids were solicited for construction of Bingle Tech at Bassett High School with only one firm responding, Clark Brothers from Stewart, and with the construction price was over budget. So, of course, after negotiations and value engineering with Clark Brothers, we've come to a conclusion of a price of $1,293,175, which includes an alternate number one, which is there's a package unit, rooftop package unit that sets out on the ground outside behind this, where the new media center would go, and we'll relocate that to the roof so that we can in the future do maybe some outdoor reading areas for that new tech, for the new media center there. So you see a bid summaries attached. So as we talked about before, we had about 7 contractors show up for the pre-bid meeting, but only one responded for it. And we also see the fact that you may see that there's quite a big difference there in the price of this versus Warrior Tech, but I ask that you keep in mind we're also capturing a phase of renovation with this Bingle Tech as well, because we have some substantial mechanical work that has to be done with Bingle Tech and with us doing the media center, where the media center is going to be relocated. At Magna Vista, when we did Warrior Tech, the mechanical work had already been done with the previous project. So that's quite a big difference when you're looking at the prices on that. And so it's recommended that we award this contract to Clark Brothers from Stewart, Virginia, in the amount of $1,293,175, and this would be, of course, carry forward funds from FY15 and our facilities budget for FY16.
Make a motion that we award a contract for construction renovations for Bingle Tech at Bassett to Clark Brothers of Stewart in the amount of $1,293,175.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve Clark Brothers construction of Bingle Tech at Bassett High School. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
Thank you.
It does look like that it would be a little bit more competitive, and there would be a little bit more bidding going on between these companies. I don't.
Well,
see that, especially today, and the things that we went over that.
I agree, and what we're seeing, as Dr. Cotton mentioned when we talked about MetaView, we're seeing a huge change in the market, and it's like it's happened just in the past 3 or 4 months. Whether it's more work, higher prices, but something has changed drastically in the market, and it's not just affecting our county, but as Dr. Cotton mentioned, we read an article there where it affected a big project in Chesterfield. And so you're seeing this a lot taking place on it, and we can't quite put our finger on why and what's changed, whether it's more work or not enough individuals to get the work done, or what's changed with it, but we are seeing a huge change with our construction.
And not only is it high overall, it's also high for our area. They look at construction costs in different parts of Virginia, and the comment was made that we would see prices like this in maybe Northern Virginia or other parts of the state. So, but again, they're seeing their costs go up significantly as well.
And we did some creative things with this bid. We moved it back a week, and we did some creative items to try to entice some more bidders to provide a price bid. But
Even extended the timeline because that was a concern, and even for Clark Brothers, it's a concern that they may not be finished before the school year starts. But if y'all remember, Warrior Tech didn't open until a few weeks after the year started. So they obviously need to have a plan B for a meeting space to start the year.
The next section of our agenda is the superintendent's reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have some highlights to share this morning. These are the highlights from April 2016. The first one, Science is Magic. Our fifth grade students at Axton Elementary were able to participate in the STEM Science is Magic show presented by Magna Vista High School this month. Students were able to create and shoot rockets, ride a hoverboard, watch a magic show that showcased science experiments and dissect organisms. Students loved all of the hands-on activities and learning about the magic of science, and Dr. Staples, our state superintendent, happened to see that during his visit. He was very impressed. Shopping for Solutions. On April 12th, students from Campbell Court Elementary and their families participated in Math Night hosted by Bassett Forks Food Line. The students were given real-world problems to solve using products found in the store. Food Line gave gift cards away and provided refreshments to students, families, and teachers. Decade of Difference. Collinsville Primary is honored to receive the Decade of Difference Award from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Mr. Philip Berg, guidance counselor, has helped the students raise a total of $7,878.56 in donations to Pennies for Patients for over 10 years, helping local students make a difference in the lives of others. The building process. At the Drew Mason Library Lab, this month's focus is on design, build, and reflect. Following the design component, students may see new ideas unfolding as they begin the design build process. At the end, a time to reflect is essential, comparing the design to the actual product that was created. During the time of reflection, students verbalize questions to redesign and rebuild an even more successful product. And this is just an example of how our libraries are changing. Our media centers are doing lots of creative activities related to STEM and other areas. Sensory spelling. Students at John Red Smith Elementary are using shaving foam to practice spelling words. The physical movement of forming the letters in the foam provides students a fun way to review spelling words and an opportunity to practice their fine and gross motor skills as well. Real life math. The recent renovation of Mount Olivet's library has afforded students new opportunities for working both independently and collaboratively on a variety of projects. Technology is everywhere: computers, iPads, presentation screens, and even a 3D printer. Maker spaces during the month of April include book creator presentations on iPads, designs of bridges and towers, creations of birdhouses, and construction of binary initial bracelets. Again, you see our changes being made to our media center. It's not the media centers that we're used to. They're changing, as you can see. Preschoolers help with school snack. Students in Mrs. Helms and Mrs. Rosenberg's preschool classes helped the cafeteria staff at Rich Acres by shucking corn for snack recently. Through this experience, the children learned about how corn grows and the steps it takes to prepare the corn for eating. Important honors. To honor our volunteers and support staff members and the very important roles they play in the success of our students each day, the faculty at Sandoval Elementary recently honored their volunteers, bus drivers, and cafeteria staff with a reception to show their appreciation for all of their hard work. We're grateful to have community members across the district that partner with us to support our students. Bingo for books. Stanleytown Elementary hosted bingo for summer books during a recent PTO night. Raffle tickets were distributed to students at the door, each good for 7 chances at door prizes that included various board games. More than 500 books, from hard, softcover books to magazines to comic books, have been collected for use as prizes. Before the night ended, every person in attendance was given the opportunity to choose a book magazine to add to his or her personal reading collection. Practical application. A group of 4 Spanish students have been working with Senorita Gerhardt to translate handouts and brochures for the SBCA. You heard about that earlier today. Through the process of developing documents for the SBCA, students learned about the practical uses of the world languages studies, as well as the difficulty level of translation services. The students' translated documents will be shared throughout the community in the coming months. We might need to put them to work on our translation services. Cupcake Wars. Magna Vista's Introduction to Culinary Arts classes participated in a competition based on Food Network's Cupcake Wars. Students in third block were given the theme superhero/villain, and fourth block's theme was places. Students created a 24 cupcake display based on their chosen theme. Cupcakes and frosting were made from scratch to complement their theme, and cupcakes were also decorated based on the theme. The Sounds of Spring, the 5th annual Southside Audible Egg Hunt, was held on April 2nd at the Smith River Sports Complex. This project is spearheaded by HCPS staff member Lori Floyd and occurs through partnerships with several community groups. 26 visually impaired children from Henry County and its surrounding areas participated in the hunt. Congratulations to 2 starfish winners this month, John Red Smith Elementary's principal Sherry Whitlow and John Red Smith's guidance counselor Jennifer Gunter. And they were surprised when I visited their school. We also want to congratulate Mackenzie Coram from FC Middle School, who was the 2nd place winner in the middle school division, and Amira Scales from Collinsville Primary School, who was 3rd place winner in elementary school division at the 2016 Virginia School Boards Association Blue Ridge Regional Art Contest on April 13th. We did that for you, Mr. Milner, so that you would come back with a couple awards.
Oh, I rubbed it in.
NESB sponsors biomedical competition annually. At Patrick Henry Community College, and all schools are invited to make a diverse team of 4 with different grades, genders, and race. A coach, usually a science teacher, coaches the team to research and prepare a presentation on an illness that plagues our community. Local doctors judge the students to get 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place winners from the high school and the middle school. This year's 1st place high school individual winner was Magna Vista's Brianna Warren, pictured here, and Coach Regina Warren, and judges Charlotte Taller, who's at the SN, and Dr. Terry Younger, all pictured here. FC Middle School's team won 1st place at the NESB Biomedical Competition. Students each won a cash prize of $50 for their trifold and PowerPoint presentation on type 1 diabetes. Congratulations to Coach Crystal Jackson and students Joseph Castro, Acadia Bradley, Blair Oakley, and Ava Meyer, pictured here with Dr. Kimberly Mache. And last but not least, the Magna Vista High School Raiders are the best of the best. The Magna Vista Warrior JROTC Raider team brought home a 3rd place finish and 4th Brigade U.S. Eastern Region Best of the Best BOB Raider Challenge. The Warrior Raiders' 3rd place finish qualifies them for the National BOB competition to be held in Georgia in November 2017. I believe that we're going to have them come to the June meeting. We are going to have the students come to be recognized in June along with our girls basketball team from Magna Vista High School during our June meeting. This completes my updates and highlights for the month of April. We have other reports included in my section. I'll be glad to answer any questions board members have at this time.
If there are no questions from the board, at this time, I will ask if there are matters from the board they wish to discuss at this time.
Mr. Scott and Dr. Cobb can give us a brief update on the Warrior and Magna Vista High School, and a lot of people are asking about it.
Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir. We actually, I think we sent kind of a drawing out in our board meeting. Is that correct? Maybe some information that was coming out, or
I don't know if I shared it with them yet, but I plan on
going. Yeah, we're getting ready to on that. But I will tell you that we've got a presentation board that you'll see out there. I'm taking it out there Friday, so if you get a chance, drop by Magna Vista, take a look. It's kind of a preliminary look at what the outside of the building's gonna look like. What Magna Vista has worked with us on is they're gonna look at an addition for the weight room. We're gonna add on to the side of the building, and they're working through raising some money to help with those costs on that. We've looked at one of our architects that we have under contract, Ornette and Cundiff, has did a preliminary drawing on that, and that's what's on the presentation board, and it looks really nice. I think you'll be pretty excited about the looks of this. And I've also had a meeting with, they've been using Conrad Knight to work on their drawings, and so I've had a discussion with him about some preliminary structural issues that we need to look at as they're preparing the drawings. So we're moving forward, taking some small steps forward. So I'm hoping you'll be excited when you see the conceptual plan, if you will. So.
Just as an update, they originally wanted to do a more temporary type building, a metal building with garage doors that they were going to open, and they wanted to put right there on the side of the building. And I told them that they certainly have that option, but it's not going to be where they want to put it. It's not going to be in the front of the building. It would have to be in the back of the building. Or the other option was a more long-term option to add on to the building where they can help contribute to that capital project. And they have decided they like the long-term option better, but they also understand that won't happen as quickly as the other option would. So, and I know Mr. Scott's been involved in several meetings with the staff over there, and that's where we are right now.
So they're going to raise some money to help fund this long-term, which is going to be a whole lot better way of doing things.
Yes.
And then the board is going to commit to do this as our share as a capital project.
At what step would we need to be before they would feel free to start raising money?
Well, I think they're at the point now, they're already kind of looking at starting to raise the money, preparing with maybe some ideas with fundraisers and that type of thing. So, what we're after, the first step out of this is get the drawings taken care of. So I know we're waiting on a proposal from Mr. Knight to see if that's going to be a cost and what that cost would be. Once we get these drawings prepared, then we can kind of set out a plan of, they've got some volunteers that are willing to dig the footers, if you will. That's great, as long as they're licensed and they have a contractor license in the area and their insurance is okay, well, then we certainly work with them. So it's kind of a piece at a time. Once we get that down, then we start moving forward to see, we may have some construction that needs to come before the board for approval at this point. But right now, the first step is getting the drawings.
Thank you. We had a BSBA conference last week, and BSBA made quite a bit of show about the awards that we won at the National NSBA. Maybe Ms. Flanagan would like to comment on that.
Yes, we did win some really nice awards, and I was able to bring one back for our digital school district surveys. We've won this several times before. We won 3rd place this year. We've won two first place in past years, and this is for the mid-size student population category. And it's a really nice award, and we appreciated it very much. So I will present that to, I'm sorry it's been so long since I had it to bring, but it was very nice to, the conference was wonderful. It's always a tough thing to attend because you're busy. But you do see, I saw some really unusual things this year that I had a credit card and I almost bought some things. And but they were really good things that I saw, and I appreciate the opportunity to go and be a part of that. And I appreciate my partners in crime, and we had a good time. So I recommend anybody to attend. It was a little chilly in Boston this year, but it was nice. So thank you very much.
And thank you so much for representing the board. And as we were learning, we were getting more and more awards. I was feeling guilty about
at this, was it this one? No, this is not the one. The one we won, the Magna Award. We had a 16-year-old chef that spoke, and I actually won a cookbook that she has, and she's been all over the world and teaching culinary arts and things, and she was just really precious. And I won a copy of her cookbook signed to me, so I appreciated that too. So it was a nice conference.
Any other comments from the board? If not, I'd like for you to remember that we have graduation coming up very shortly. On a Friday evening, Saturday morning, and several other meetings in there that you may wish to check over. Be sure we have a good representation. So, if there are no other matters from the board, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss appointments and separation of personnel, student matters, and Virginia legal matters.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to go into executive session. All in favor, please raise your right hand. I'll entertain a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to return to regular session. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Mrs. Overby.
Whereas the School Board of Henry County has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712.d of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the School Board of Henry County hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Mr. Alker.
Yes.
Dr. Duval.
Yes.
Ms. Maddox.
Yes.
Mr. Milner.
Yes.
Dr. Stambaugh. And Mr. Zane.
Yes.
Thank you.
We do have a motion coming out of closed session. Dr. Duval.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chairman. I move that the personnel report addendum, and also the reappointment report be approved as presented.
Second.
We moved and seconded to approve the personnel report addendum, and the reappointment list. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. If there is no other business to come before the board today, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for adjournment. All in favor, please raise your right hand.